You bleed when the white man says bleed. You bite when the white man says bite. And you bark when the white man says bark. I hate to say this about us, but it's true. How you going to be nonviolent in Mississippi as violent as you were in Korea? How can you justify being nonviolent in Mississippi and Alabama when your churches are being bombed and your little girls are being murdered, and at the same time you're going to get violent with Hitler and Tojo and somebody else that you don't even know? If violence is wrong in America, violence is wrong abroad. If it's wrong to be violent, defending black women and black children and black babies and black men, then it's wrong for America to draft us and make us violent abroad in defense of her.
In the final 9 minutes of his message to the Grassroots speech, Malcolm X points out the hypocrisy in the way black Americans approach resistance to white supremacy. He begins by highlighting that black men are willing to fight and die for America in its wars abroad. Yet, when faced with the violence and oppression of white supremacy at home, they adopt a nonviolent stance. This, Malcolm argues, reflects a misguided understanding of revolution. He critiques the civil rights leaders who encourage black people to love their enemies and avoid confrontation, despite enduring centuries of systematic oppression. For Malcolm, this contradiction is unacceptable, as the violence they are asked to commit abroad should be directed at their true enemies, those who uphold racism in America. Malcolm X then contrasts this passive nonviolent approach with the violent nature of true revolutions throughout history. He explains how revolutions in Algeria, China, and Cuba succeeded because they did not shy away from violence and bloodshed. These revolutionary movements knew that to overthrow their oppressors, they had to be willing to use any means necessary. Malcolm notes that these revolutions also eliminated Uncle Toms, those who sympathized with the oppressors and stood in the way of genuine change. He criticizes the black leadership in America for allowing these Uncle Toms to thrive, as they serve to pacify black resistance rather than encourage meaningful revolution.
The Chinese Revolution, they wanted land. They threw the British out, along with the Uncle Tom Chinese. Yeah, they did. They set a good example. When I was in prison, I read an article, and don't be shocked when I say I was in prison. You're still in prison. That's what America means, prison. When I was in prison, I read an article in Life magazine showing a little Chinese girl, 9 years old. Her father was on his hands and knees, and she was pulling the trigger because he was an Uncle Tom Chinaman. Yeah. When they had the revolution over there, they took a whole generation of Uncle Toms, just wiped them out. And within 10 years, that little girl became a full-grown woman. No more Toms in China. And today it's one of the toughest, roughest, most feared countries on this earth by the white man, because there are no Uncle Toms over there. Of all our studies, history is best qualified to reward all research. And when you see that you got problems, all you have to do is examine the historic method used all over the world by others who had problems similar to yours. And once you see how they got theirs straight, then you know how you can get yours straight. Please. There's been a revolution, a black revolution going on in Africa. In Kenya, the Mau Mau were revolutionaries. They were the ones who made the word uhuru. They were the ones who brought it to the fore. The Mau Mau, they were revolutionaries. They believed in scorched earth. They knocked everything aside that got in their path. And their revolution also was based on land, a desire for land. In Algeria, the northern part of Africa, a revolution took place. The Algerians were revolutionists. They wanted land. France offered to let them be integrated into France. They told France to hell with France. They wanted some land, not some France. And they engaged in a bloody battle. So I cite these various revolutions, brothers and sisters, to show you, you don't have a peaceful revolution. You don't have a turn the other cheek revolution. There's no such thing as a nonviolent revolution. Only kind of revolution that's nonviolent is the Negro revolution. The only revolution based on loving your enemy is the Negro revolution. The only revolution in which the goal is a desegregated lunch counter, a desegregated theater, a desegregated park, and a desegregated public toilet. You can sit down next to white folks on the toilet. That's no revolution. Revolution is based on land. Land is the basis of all independence. Land is the basis of freedom, justice, and equality. The white man knows what a revolution is. He knows that the black revolution is worldwide in scope and in nature. The black revolution is sweeping Asia, sweeping Africa. It's rearing its head in Latin America. The Cuban Revolution, that's a revolution. They overturned the system. Revolution is in Asia. Revolution is in Africa. And the white man is screaming because he sees revolution in Latin America. How do you think he'll react to you when you learn what a real revolution is? You don't know what a revolution is. If you did, you wouldn't use that word. A revolution is bloody. Revolution is hostile. Revolution knows no compromise. Revolution overturns and destroys everything that gets in its way. And you sitting around here like a knot on these folks, no matter how much they hate me. No, you need a revolution. Who ever heard of a revolution where they lock arms, as Reverend Klieg was pointing out beautifully, singing, "We shall overcome"? Just tell me you don't do that in a revolution. You don't do any singing, you're too busy swinging. It's based on land. A revolutionary wants land so he can set up his own nation, an independent nation. These Negroes aren't asking for no nation. They're trying to crawl back on the plantation. When you want a nation, that's called nationalism. When the white man became involved in a revolution in this country against England, what was it for? He wanted this land so he could set up another white nation. That's white nationalism. The American Revolution was white nationalism. The French Revolution was white nationalism. The Russian Revolution too, yes, it was white nationalism. You don't think so? Why you think Khrushchev and Mao can't get their heads together? White nationalism. All the revolutions that's going on in Asia, in Africa today are based on what? Black nationalism. A revolutionary is a black nationalist. He wants a nation. I was reading some beautiful words by Reverend Clee pointing out why he couldn't get together with someone else here in the city. Because all of them were afraid of being identified with black nationalism. If you're afraid of black nationalism, you're afraid of revolution. And if you love revolution, you love black nationalism.
Malcolm X emphasizes that no revolution in history has been peaceful, and the very notion of a nonviolent revolution is contradictory. The American Revolution, the French Revolution, and the Russian Revolution all involved conflict and bloodshed because the oppressed sought to completely overturn their conditions. In contrast, what he calls the Negro Revolution is the only so-called revolution that promotes nonviolence and loving the oppressor. Malcolm X argues that such an approach is ineffective and only serves to maintain the status quo, rather than challenge the system of powers that oppresses black people. One of Malcolm X's key points in this portion of his speech is that integration should not be the goal for black Americans. He argues that integration into a white supremacist society only ensures that black people remain second-class citizens within the very system that exploits them. Instead of seeking acceptance from white society, black people should focus on liberation and independence. Malcolm criticizes the idea that black people should aspire to live alongside their oppressors, calling it a dangerous illusion that prevents true freedom. In closing, Malcolm X stresses that the global black revolution, as seen in Africa, Asian, and Latin America, is about liberation from white supremacy, not integration into it. He warns that black Americans must adopt a similar mindset if they want to achieve real change. The true objective of the black struggle, he argues, should be the complete dismantling of white supremacy and the achievement of black self-determination. Only through this global liberation movement can black people hope to attain real freedom and equality, free from the control and influence of white oppression.